Hello YouTubers, how you doing? Today's video I thought I'd share a little experience with you that I had not too long ago. I've got a 2016 Dodge Grand Caravan. About a month ago, every time I would turn the key on, well not every time, this is very intermittently, I would turn the key on and it would go click and it would go dead. I'd turn the key off, turn it back on, the car would start right up, just like nothing was wrong. Well, the first time it did it, I just thought it might have been a fluke or something. But then it did it again a couple weeks later. Then another week later, it did it again. I said, well, I've got to figure this thing out. I said, I'm going to end up having to take it to the dealer. But I needed the car to take my wife to the doctor. We had a doctor's appointment. And it was raining pretty much outside, coming down pretty good. And on our way there, we were just standing stopped at a stoplight, my foot on the brake, we're just waiting for the light to turn green, and all of a sudden it just died. Oh, what happened? I put it back up in the park, turned the key off, turned it back on, it started right up. And I drove it right over to the dealership, which happened to be a Honda dealership. That's where I bought the car. I bought it used. But I get over there and they tell me, well, I've only got 35,000 miles on it, so it's under factory warranty yet, so they can't do anything. I have to take it to a regular Dodge dealership. I said, okay, there's one just a few miles down the road here. I'll take it down there. So I took a ride down over there. And I explained the problem I had with it. They said, well, we'll take a look at it. And this was about 9 o'clock in the morning. So I sat there and I said, well, I'll wait and see what the problem was. I waited and waited, and it was about noon. And they come and they said they still haven't found a problem with it. So I said, well, I'll wait a little bit longer. So I waited till about 1 o'clock and I went back in there. I said, is there anything wrong with this thing? What is the problem? And he called the mechanic up there who's working on it. And the mechanic was saying that they haven't been able to find a problem. He said they found one code which said a low battery, but they checked the battery's absolutely fine. I said, okay. He said, but I'll keep the car for another couple of hours and I'll see if I can drive it and everything around. And I said, okay. I said, well, it's getting late. I want to get some lunch, so I'm going to head home, and you just call me when you figured it out. Okay, so I went home. Around 5 o'clock, 5:30, I guess they were closing around 6. They said, we're getting about ready to close, but I just want to let you know that we haven't found a problem. We'd like to keep it another day. I said, okay, you keep it another day, and give me a call. Next day, they kept it till about 3:30. And they called me up. Well, actually, I called them up and had the guy call me back, of course. And he said, we still haven't found a problem. We drove it all around. We drove it about 20 miles, and it never stopped. It never had a problem with it. He said, there's nothing we can do with it now. So, okay, I'll go pick it up. So I went in, got a ride in, and got it picked up and drove it back home. Which is fine. I didn't have any problem coming home. I stopped for gas, stopped a couple of times here and there. I didn't have any problems with it, so I said, well, maybe they just accidentally figured something out. But the next day, I went out to start it up. It did the same thing. Click, dead. Turn it off, click, turn it on. Ah, shit, I got to take it back to the dealership. So, but before I do that, let me take a look underneath the hood and see if there's anything that I might be able to see. I mean, I'm no expert at mechanics, but I've done a little bit of work on my own. And the kitty cat's getting in my way here. All right, well, like I said, I went under the hood and thought I could figure something out. But I didn't know what to do. I said, well, if it's dying, that means there's no power, which means it's got to be the battery or something. So I decided, I felt around the battery and everything felt all right until I got to the post. And the one post was loose. and I couldn't figure out why. Now let me explain to you, on these new vehicles, they've got this new fang-dangled connection, these battery post connectors. And to connect them, you don't have a nut or anything. You have this little screw on the top, and it's like a cone on the bottom. It's pointed down, and you have to tighten that right on down into a little hole, which tightens it up, which is fine. And I tried it, but I couldn't tighten it up any farther, and the post was still loose. I said, well, how am I going to tighten this? So I went online, as everybody else does, go to YouTube and look it up. Well, a couple of times I seen where they showed where they put these lead caps over the top of the post, and then you put it over there and tighten it back up. I said, well, if that's what I got to do, I got to do that. But I continued on, and then I happened to find a tip on what it said about a loose battery cable. And it says what happens is a lot of time in this connector, there's two posts. One is has a nut on there which tightens up the cable onto your battery post, and another one is for attaching different things. All right. And he says if for some reason somebody attaches something to that center post, that cone will not fit down in there tight, and that'll keep it loose. Yeah, made sense to me. So I decided to go out and take another look at it. And sure enough, a month or so ago, just before this happened, I had a brake controller installed on the car, and they attached one of the wires from that controller to that center post where they shouldn't have. That meant that cone-shaped thing would not go all the way down and tighten up, and so the post was loose. So I undid it, removed that wire, tightened it right down. It tightened right up, snug as a bug in a rug. Took that other wire and fastened it to that original post where it was supposed to be, and now that works fine. Now, I've had no problem since. So I'm assuming that it was just a loose battery, and every once in a while I lose that connection. Now, my point is this. I've taken it to the dealer. They had it for a good 12 hours, and there was no codes, so they know nothing what to do. So these new mechanics, they don't know anything unless it shows a code and it tells them what the problem is. Now, like in the old days, I mean, a mechanic could tell by the sound, by the sight, by the smell. I mean, they just knew what was wrong with an engine, and they fixed it. But the newer mechanics and the new electronics, if they don't have codes, and this thing here never showed a code other than that one, and they just assumed it was a bad battery, they checked the battery was good. But they never checked to see if the cable was loose. So there's the problem. So if you ever have this similar problem, not only with a Grand Caravan, I'm sure it's with anybody else, if you got that different kind of a battery connection on there, check it out and make sure it's good and snug, and that nothing is in that post. So, gentlemen, I hope this video helps you out. If you learned a little bit something, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button right down there in the bottom. And if you hit that little bell right next to the subscribe button, you'll get a response back from me telling you there's a new video coming up. So thank you guys for watching, and you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you.